about the church in Ocean Park?
Because I'm also involved in this thing called the Western Methodist Justice Movement, and was the president of Methodist Federation for Social Action for a long time. They know me more as working for social justice through the United Methodist Church. They don't pay as much attention to the church in Ocean Park because we pay our apportionments, and Jim Kahn taught them to do that so that the church sort of leaves us alone. Because we don't actually, we are not trying to make disciples of all people, as is the mandate of the Methodist Church. We are another type of place. So they have so far let us do this, and for some of the hierarchy, they believe that we're on the cutting edge, and so they know that, so they sort of leave us alone, and they're watching to see what happens. But for others, they don't like it. We've been written up in the Good News. The Good News is a group on the right of the Methodist Church, and the MFSA is the left part of the Methodist Church. And so the Good News likes to write about the church in Ocean Park. We get a lot of press with them, but basically, I think the people who really care know that we're doing some good in the world, and they've left us alone so far.
By the way, my co-host today is Carl Kozlowski, and he's got a question for you. Carl?
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
I'm a reporter with the Pasadena Weekly, as well as running the station with another partner, and I have been
Are you going to write that down, what I just said?
Oh, no. Well, no, but it's been fascinating. And I wanted to ask you if you're familiar with a church that I have to regularly cover out there, All Saints Church, and if you guys have ever worked together on anything like that, or what you feel about because they're also fairly well known for their progressive activism, and have even taken national heat a couple of years back. The IRS was chasing them down before for having allegedly too strong of a preference in their sermons before the 2008 election. Just curious if you've ever worked with them or have any thoughts on them in the movement.
Oh yeah, if I wasn't a pastor, I might go to that church. But it's a wonderful church. But it's much larger than the church in Ocean Park. It's a different animal because first of all, it's Christian.
Okay.
It's only Christian, and so it doesn't purport to be interfaith.
Oh, they have once in a while they have like an interfaith day. That's what sparked my thought was that they will actually. But I think it's like once or twice a year, probably just ceremonial. But anyway, so.
Yeah, right. It isn't like in the church in Ocean Park. It's people. That's who we are. Mm-hmm. We're not like a bunch of Christians that every once in a while do a ritual in another tradition or something. But we do a lot of different rituals. This Sunday, for example, is a equinox. We're doing the equinox. Mm. But and the one after that, we're in the middle of the Jewish holy days. So, but All Saints is prophetic, and it is extremely important, I think, in the in terms of religious organizations and institutions. And I was a part of when they were going through their IRS struggle. They asked many of us to join their church sort of virtually or whatever, and we did that. Many of the people of the church in Ocean Park did that in solidarity with them. And many of the times when I'm asked to be on a panel or asked to be at an event, the leaders of that church will be there as well. So we know each other. We don't, we're so busy involved in our own communities, we don't interact that much, but we do on occasion run into each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a church with no stable seating, and I think there's a method to that. There's some reason to that, so that you can use the physical space for more than just sitting and listening, or more than just sitting. It's a place where people can participate. Sometimes they dance, sometimes they listen to music, sometimes you have exhibits there on the church floor. It's a church that it has a basement, and in the basement is the children's place. And then up higher, and then outside is the sort of the play yard, which is also part of the children's place. And then you move upstairs, and that's where the sanctuary or the traditional big room is. And it's a very pretty room with really beautiful glass windows. And then the offices are upstairs. So it is very much, in my experience, and why I've stayed so loyal to the church over the years for a long, long time, a place where there's a lot of movement and a lot of activity, where people can come in and essentially build their dreams. Would you agree with that?
Oh yes, it's an amazing space, and I've seen it transform to look like a casino. I've seen it transform to look like an ashram. It can look like anything. It depends. You just bring into the space whatever you can, and we have a lot of musical events here. We have our young people have something they call sanctuary. They don't call it anything to do with the church because people wouldn't come. So there are people who know the church in Ocean Park only as sanctuary. They don't know it as church in Ocean Park. They're between 25 and 35 years old. And about 100 of them come once a month on Fridays just to listen to music. And then we do have other dance groups that rent the facility, but the musicals are our own people. We have a group called the Kick-Ass Drinking Volunteer Benefactor Society. And
Wait, hold on. Say, what is that again?
I'll join that.
The Kick-Ass Drinking Volunteer Benefactor Society. It's a group of they're about 25 to 35 also. But their whole goal is they meet usually like at Finn McCool's or some bar, and then they plan their next good deed. And then they go the next month they do their good deed. So they get together.
Wait a minute, Janet, Reverend. Reverend, if I may respectfully ask a question, you have 4 very morally questionable people who just all smiled as you said that. May we join you?
Yes, you may. That's one of our fastest growing groups, basically.
Carl has to have a question about this.
No, I just said I want to join. That definitely got my attention. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you need it?
That's what people want to do. They want community. They want to have fun, and they want to do good in the world. So that's what they do. They put it on Meetup.com, and we had 94 people sign up the first day.
Can you have an adjunct subchapter at the Bounty Bar on Wilshire? You want Janet, Reverend, you want some ministry? We'll give you some ministry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
So, but one group I haven't mentioned yet, though, too, is we have 2 more. One is heretics. The heretics are more like the old hippies, and they get together and talk about maybe evil and what they believe about evil.
What?
That one is interesting. It's more interesting if we go and hold it at a coffee shop because other people start to join us.
Yeah.
But we also work really closely with CLU, which is Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice.
And that's an important institution in the city and county of LA. Talk to us about your work with CLU for a minute.
Yeah, CLU is a very important organization. They bring all kinds of religious leaders and people together for usually it's about workers and labor rights. And I want to share briefly one success that we've had along these lines. And you might know that car wash workers at most car washes are not being treated very well. I don't know if you know that or not, but they're not. Usually they're not paid for all the hours that they are there, and sometimes they're called in, and if no car shows up, they don't get paid anything. Some people don't pay their car wash workers anything, and they just get your tips. But anyway, they're vulnerable. And most of them can be terminated at any time, even those that have worked at the same car wash for 20 years. So if they get called on and it's a slow day and they don't get paid, or if they get hurt, they might not complain. So CLU joined with the car wash workers who are already starting to talk about this in their car wash at the Bonus Car Wash on Lincoln Boulevard in Santa Monica. And we joined together with them and worked with them and highlighted to the community what was happening. And because we're religious leaders, we can talk to the management and the owners in a different way than the car wash workers or CLU or the union workers, because we're religious leaders, and some of these people say that they're religious people. So we sometimes are able to talk to them. And if we put it in the paper and if we pass out leaflets, we have some ways that we can highlight that they're not treating their workers right. So anyway, after about 2 years, they became the first unionized car wash in the country. Yeah, and so now there's almost 30 across the country, but they were the very first one.
And that was part of what, and CLU helped to make that happen, correct?
Correct. They're the ones that brought us together. I wouldn't have known about it at all if it weren't for Clue. And so now we're working with Clue on 3 other campaigns at the moment. Right now, the DoubleTree Hotel workers the DoubleTree Hotel is actually on school property. The school leases the DoubleTree Hotel property to the DoubleTree Hotel, and yet they're not treating their workers right. So we're working on that with the school district as well. But we're right in the middle of that one, and we're in the middle of a couple of others, one with steel workers and some other groups, hotel workers.
Okay, well, I got to tell you, this I marvel at your work. I so respect and honor the institution that you serve and the group that you're part of. I'm just curious, how did you get into this kind of work?
That's funny. Nobody expected me to be a minister when I was growing up. I actually was an atheist for a number of years, and I was trying to figure out who I was, and I was trying out all these different religions, and I discovered that I could be a Christian, and then I didn't want to be a minister because I wanted to make a difference in the world, and I didn't realize that ministers actually helped people, So, but then I discovered that they did, and anyway, I ended up being a minister. And then the way the Methodist Church works, you tell the bishop you'll go wherever you're sent when you become a Methodist minister. And so they were, my husband is a minister also, and we were asked, would you like to go to Malibu or the church in Ocean Park? Which one would you like to go to? And I said the church in Ocean Park, so.
Is that because there's better delis in the neighborhood, right?
Well, I knew about it because actually my husband had been an intern at the church in Ocean Park when Jim Kahn was here.
Oh, okay.
So I knew Jim a long time ago, and I knew what kind of church it was. And I was really tired of people in churches who are more concerned with whether or not the flower is placed at the middle of the altar than what they're doing in the world. And this church, the focus is always on what we're doing in the world. You don't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that a normal church minister worries about. It suits me well.
Okay, last question. I know I said the last question was the last question, but this is the final question. Tell us how folks can get involved. What's your website address? How can people contribute? And how can people come to your events or otherwise become part of this fabulous community institution called the Church in Ocean Park?
Great. We have 3 wonderful events coming up right now, actually. We have, any Sunday you can come by at 10:15. Don't worry, it's not like a normal church. And it's at,
the address is?
235 Hill Street, Santa Monica, 90405. And our phone number is 310-399-1631. And our website is churchop.org. And we are having a candidate forum, if you're in Santa Monica, on October 19th, put on by the Committee for Racial Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And on November 2nd, our Committee for Racial Justice workshop is with the Chief of Police, who's joining us to look at racism in America and in Santa Monica. So those are 2 events. And Communitas is on October 11th, which is our big event of the year, where we honor 3 people who have made a difference in the world. So that's October 11th. But you can find out all of that on churchop.org or calling 310-399-1631.
Well, once again, congratulations on your great work. Thank you for how you serve our society, our community, and also our best intentions. Janet, I want to thank you for being on the campaign with Ernie Powell.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Travel, its end I cannot see. Shot a man in Soho, couldn't guess his age. I found his empty journal, I filled up every. Said he wasn't there. The secretary took my name, and man, she sounded scared. So I counted my misfortunes, I added up the blame. I picked through all the garbage, I checked off all the names. I read in the newspaper, they questioned all my friends. They hoped that they could find my ass before I struck again.
Okay.